The morning air in Halifax is a living thing. It bites at your cheeks and frosts your breath into a tiny silver cloud before you even step outside. It's December 6th, 1917, and the city is a beast of industry, its heart beating in time with the clang of shipyards and the rumble of trolleys. For you, and for everyone else, it's just another Thursday. Another cold day in a long, cold war. You're thinking about breakfast, about the frost on the inside of your window, about whether you remembered to put enough coal on the fire last night. You're not thinking about history. You're living it. But history is about to shatter your morning. Imagine for a moment you are a little girl named Ellen. You're 7 years old, and your world is the view from your bedroom window on a hill overlooking the harbor. Your world is the promise of Christmas just a few weeks away. Your world is the scratchy wool of your school uniform and the sweet, milky taste of porridge your mother makes, just the way you like it, with a single spoonful of brown sugar melted in the center. From your window, the harbor is a sprawling, gray chessboard. Ships, big and small, are the pieces moving with a slow, deliberate purpose. They are the lifeblood of a nation at war, carrying soldiers, coal, steel, and secrets across the Atlantic. You don't understand the grand strategy. You only know that some of those ships carry letters from your father, who is somewhere in France. You watch them and you wait. Now, imagine you are a man named Patrick. You're a longshoreman, and your hands are a roadmap of scars and calluses. Your back aches with a deep, permanent cold that has nothing to do with the temperature. The harbor isn't a chessboard to you. It's a hungry mouth, and you spend your days feeding it. You feed it crates of apples, bundles of timber, sacks of flour. You heave and you haul from sunrise to sunset, the rhythm of your work set by the tides and the shrill blasts of foghorns. This morning, the harbor is unusually crowded. A convoy is waiting to form, protected by the anti-submarine nets that guard the Narrows. It's chaos, the kind of organized chaos you've learned to navigate. You grumble to your mate about the cold, about the delay, about the friendship, the * Mont Blanc * cutting across the lane too sharply. It's just another annoyance in a day full of them. You pull your collar tighter and wish for a warm cup of tea. And then there is Sarah, Ellen's mother. Her world is the warm, small circle of her kitchen. The rhythmic scrape of her spoon against the porridge pot is a comfort. The hiss of the kettle is a promise. She worries about the price of coal and the hole in Ellen's stocking. She worries about her husband, thousands of miles away. She glances out the kitchen window, just a quick check on the neighborhood, and sees a world waking up. Mr. Henderson is shoveling his walk. A paperboy is a blur of flying newsprint. Everything is exactly as it should be. The harbor in the distance is just a backdrop, a noisy, smoky part of the scenery. It has always been there, and it always will be. She takes a deep breath, the air thick with the comforting smell of burning coal and fresh toast. Everything is normal. Everything is fine. But in the harbor, the normal world is beginning to fray. The * Mont Blanc * that French ship Patrick was grumbling about is a ghost. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Its hull is packed to the rafters with the most violent materials known to man. 3,000 tons of picric acid, 200 tons of TNT, tons of gun cotton, and benzene fuel stored in thin-walled tanks on its deck. The crew knows what they are carrying, a ticking bomb. Their captain tried to warn other ships, flying a red flag, the international symbol for dangerous cargo. But in the frantic, crowded bottleneck of the Narrows, in the language of whistles and bells and shouted commands, the signal was lost. It was just another flag in a sea of flags. And so the dance begins. A Norwegian ship, the * Emo *, is leaving the harbor, eager to make up for lost time. The * Mont Blanc * is coming in. They see each other. Signals are flashed. Whistles are blown. Commands are shouted, but it's too late. A misjudgment, a hard turn to port. A last-minute, panicked correction. It happens not with a thunderous crash, but with a sickening, grinding crunch of metal on metal. The asterisk IMO asterisk's bow rips into the asterisk Mont Blanc asterisk's side, a mortal wound. From his spot on the dock, Patrick feels the impact more than hears it. A shudder that runs up his boots and settles in his teeth. He curses under his breath. A collision. Now the whole day will be delayed. He can see the two ships locked together, a clumsy, angry embrace. He sees men on the deck of the French ship, scrambling, shouting. He sees one of the benzene tanks topple over, spilling its contents across the deck. A river of invisible, flammable vapor begins to flow. This is the moment the world could have still been saved. The crew of the asterisk Mont Blanc asterisk knows what's coming. They know the spark. They leap into their lifeboats, rowing furiously away from their own ship, their faces pale with a terror no one on shore understands. They are shouting in French, warnings swallowed by the din of the harbor. From the shore, people watch. A fire has broken out on the deck of the asterisk Mont Blanc asterisk, a beautiful, terrifying plume of orange and black smoke. It's a spectacle. People gather on the waterfront, pointing. Children are drawn to the window, just like Ellen, to see the burning ship. It's the most exciting thing to happen on a dull Thursday morning. No one is running, no one is fleeing. They are watching the show, completely unaware that the stage is a powder keg and the curtain is about to fall. The asterisk Mont Blanc asterisk, now a burning ghost ship, is adrift. The current is pulling it, pushing it inexorably, silently, toward the city's richest pier, Pier 6. It bumps gently against the wooden pilings and comes to a stop right in the heart of the bustling docklands. The fire on its deck grows, licking at the sky. The benzene vapor, heavier than air, flows down into the streets, filling the air with a sweet, sickening smell. It's a perfect trap. At 9:04 a.m., the fire reaches the picric acid. There is no sound. First, there is a light so brilliant, so absolute, it whites out the world. For a fraction of a second, it is brighter than the sun. Ellen, watching from her window, is blinded. The image of the harbor, of the city, of her own reflection in the glass, is burned away, replaced by a pure, searing white. The temperature in the harbor instantly spikes to thousands of degrees. The water beneath the asterisk Mont Blanc asterisk vaporizes, creating a cavity in the sea. The ship itself, its cargo, the men on the pier, the pilings, the nearby warehouses, all of it ceases to exist. It is simply gone, turned into gas and light. And then, for a moment that stretches into an eternity, there is silence, a profound, unearthly silence. The air has been sucked out. The shockwave has begun its journey, but it has outrun its own sound. All the noise of the city, the trolleys, the shipyards, the voices is gone. In this impossible quiet, Patrick, who is thrown 30 feet through the air into a pile of crates, wonders if he has gone deaf. He opens his eyes and sees a sky the color of a bruise. Then the sound arrives. It is not a bang. It is not an explosion. It is a solid physical wall of pure noise. It hits you like a fist. It is the sound of a world being torn in two. It shatters eardrums. It shakes buildings from their foundations. It rips the air from your lungs. The sound is so powerful, it travels hundreds of miles, heard as far away as Cape Breton and Prince Edward Island. But here, in Halifax, it is the end of the world. The blast wave that follows the light is an invisible, indiscriminate monster. It flattens everything in its path. Buildings are unzipped from roof to foundation. Rows of houses, the ones you see from Ellen's window, are splintered into kindling. The bustling streets around the pier are erased. A church, its steeple a landmark for generations, collapses in on itself. A school, filled with children just arriving for their morning lessons, is obliterated. The blast wave travels up the hill, picking up ships and locomotives and houses, and flinging them into the air as if they were toys. Sarah, standing in her kitchen, is thrown against the far wall. The impact is immense, but the world that rushes in to meet her is a horror. The walls are gone. The roof is gone. Her kitchen is open to the gray, choking sky. The blast wave has scoured her home, leaving only the shattered frame. Dust, the pulverized remains of her city, fills the air, making it impossible to see, impossible to breathe. She tries to scream Ellen's name, but the sound is stolen by the ringing in her ears. A high-pitched scream that seems to be coming from inside her own head. The world has ended. The cold December morning has been replaced by a hellscape. A strange, heavy snow begins to fall, but it is not snow. It is ash and soot and pulverized building material, falling from the sky and blanketing the city in a thick gray shroud. The air is acrid with the smell of sulfur, burning wood, and something else, something metallic and terrifying. The beautiful, functional harbor is now a graveyard of twisted metal and splintered wood. The water is churning, full of debris and the ghosts of ships. For a long time, the only sound is the ringing, a collective deafening tinnitus in the ears of every survivor. Then, new sounds begin to emerge. A low moan. A woman crying for her child. The sharp, crackling sound of 1,000 fires starting all at once. The panicked neigh of a horse trapped under a collapsed roof. The silence is gone, replaced by the chorus of a city in agony. Sarah pushes herself up from the floor, her body a mass of pain. The ringing is starting to fade, replaced by the moans of the wounded. "Ellen," she whispers, her voice raw. "Ellen." She stumbles through what used to be her house. The floor is covered in a layer of gray dust and broken dishes. Her neighbor's house is gone, reduced to a pile of bricks. She stumbles outside into a world she does not recognize. The street is gone, replaced by a river of rubble. She sees a man, his face blackened with soot, digging frantically at the wreckage of his own home with his bare hands. She sees another, just sitting in the middle of the street, staring at nothing, his eyes wide with a shock so deep it seems to have hollowed him out completely. Her mind cannot process it. It looks like a photograph of a battlefield, but this is her street. This was her home. She begins to walk, or rather to climb, over the wreckage. "Ellen!" She calls, her voice a ragged shout. "Ellen, where are you?" She doesn't know where she's going. The landmarks are all gone. The church, the school, the corner store, all wiped away. Everything is a uniform, apocalyptic gray. She is calling for her daughter into a void. The hope she clings to is a fragile, desperate thing, threatened by the overwhelming evidence of total destruction. She trips over a beam and falls, cutting her hand on a piece of glass. The pain is sharp, real, a momentary anchor in a sea of chaos. She gets up and keeps moving, her voice growing hoarse. Patrick, the longshoreman, lies unconscious for several minutes. When he wakes, his first thought is that he is blind. The world is dark and thick. He wipes his face, and his hand comes away black with the greasy soot that coats everything. He can see a little through the strange, dark fog. The dock is gone. The pier is gone. The ships are gone. The water is littered with splintered wood and things he cannot bear to look at directly. He feels a phantom pain in his back, the familiar ache from a lifetime of hard labor, and the absurdity of it almost makes him laugh. His job, his whole world, has been erased in an instant. He sees other men, his mates, some wounded, some just dazed, all looking at the empty space where the harbor's heart used to be. They are all unemployed now, in the most profound way imaginable. Then Sarah sees it, a flash of color. Not the gray of ruin, but the bright red of Ellen's winter coat. It's a small shape, crumpled against the remains of a stone wall. She breaks into a run, stumbling and falling, her eyes locked on that spot. She reaches her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. Ellen is alive. She's sitting up, her eyes wide and staring, unblinking. She's covered from head to toe in the gray dust. There's a trickle of dried blood coming from her ear. She's holding something in her lap. It's a shard from her bedroom window, a piece of thick, wavy glass. In the middle of it, perfectly preserved like a fossil, is a single perfect snowflake, the one she was tracing with her finger when the light came. She doesn't respond when Sarah calls her name. She doesn't cry. She just sits there, clutching her piece of the world that used to be, staring into nothing. Sarah pulls her daughter into her arms. The relief is so immense, it is its own kind of pain. She holds her tight, rocking back and forth, murmuring her name over and over. She survived. They survived. But as she looks out over the city, at the smoke rising into a bruised and angry sky, she knows that something fundamental has been broken. The world has been deafened. In the days and weeks that followed, the full weight of the tragedy would become known. Almost 2,000 people dead, 9,000 more injured, an entire neighborhood erased. The blast had been the largest man-made explosion in history, a record it would keep until the invention of the atomic bomb. Help poured in from across Canada and the United States, a tidal wave of support for a city brought to its knees. But the physical rebuilding was only part of the story. The city's soul had been wounded. They heard the blast for 1,000 miles. It was a sound so violent it registered on seismographs hundreds of miles away. But in the minutes that mattered, the minutes that led up to the annihilation, no one heard the ship. They saw it burn. They watched it drift. They judged it a curiosity. But no one heard its silent, desperate warning. They were too busy with their ordinary Thursdays, with their porridge and their backaches and their distant worries. And in the silence that followed, in the ringing in their ears and the dust in their lungs, the survivors of Halifax learned that the loudest warnings are sometimes the ones we never hear at all.